COVID-19 hit, there was closures all over much of the country, and this was starting, around March of 2020. And so we, the ACGA Center agents, Chris, you guys met him, gave him a round of applause. Met Anna. We experienced, and all the agents all over Louisiana experienced a dramatic increase in the number of phone calls and emails and home contacts we were getting regarding gardening. And most of these phone calls and messages and emails were coming from people who were first-time gardeners. We call them stakeholders. They increasingly were turning to gardening. As you can see here, they were doing it as a distraction because you're shut in, nothing else to do. Doing it as a family activity or an educational opportunity for the kids because the kids weren't going to school, or if they were, eventually got it where they were doing online school. But it gave the parents something to do with the kids that they could actually learn something. And some of them, not knowing what was coming next, was doing it to combat food scarcity. And the majority of all the extension program led things, the lectures, the workshops, the festivals, everything was canceled. We couldn't go out and meet people, we couldn't do site visits, everything stopped essentially. So we looked at it, well, what do we need to do? Well, we still need to continue to serve the people who are calling us, who are reaching out to us, the people who are gardening. We need to find some way to reach them during this global pandemic and still provide what the ACGA Center, what Extension Service is supposed to do, advice and counsel, and to help make people more successful gardeners. So we did a statewide survey, a needs assessment survey, and what we found out was we did one with the public and we did one with ACGA Center agents. And what we found was that it's broken up into percentages there. Home vegetable gardening, monthly planting guide, raised bed gardening, container gardening, and in-ground gardening made up the majority of what people were wanting. The other 71% were broken up into all other different things, but these were the highest majority. And then with the agents, they identified very similar things, not exactly the same, as you can see. The agents themselves were more interested in identifying leads and managing and tree ID and care, but this is what the homeowners were interested in. So the three of us, what we decided to do was we were going to create an online gardening course. So we started planning and putting all this together. We're going to do a 10-week, 20-lecture, free online home gardening course. We called it the Home Gardening Certificate course because we designed it so that if everyone went through the whole course, at the end, we would send them a certificate that they had completed. And we wanted to cover those 5 major aspects that we identified as needs. The course was hosted online at the LSU ACGA Center homepage, and we were doing it all, creating it as we went. It was original lecture content, original slides. We put it all together. We shot videos weekly, and all of this was put on the LSU ACGA Center webpage, and it was viewable through YouTube.
And some late night editing, I can tell you that.
You can see when I show you what we're doing each week why Chris is talking like that. It was great that there were 3 of us, that's for sure. All of the modules, we call them modules, those were how we broke it up into sections. We also created labs so that what we talked about during the lecture, people could do a lab at home. It was with easy to get materials. The lab was simple, but would reinforce things that we talked about during the presentations or the lectures. All the materials are readily accessible. And we also, on the course, at the page that they would go to get the course, we included all kinds of extra resources. So if someone was really interested or something that didn't quite make sense to them, they could go to these additional resources and extension publications and do more in-depth study or to find out more about it. And our plan was to do 2 modules each week. We're going to be released weekly. So what was the response? We were looking forward to maybe 250 students. We thought, we can get a couple hundred people signed up for this. We can count this as a success. We can pat ourselves on the back. Well, we had over 35,000 students register. We had them registering through Eventbrite. And the thing about that number is, you really didn't even have to register to get to the course, which is a fallacy that I'll point out later. But we had over 35,000 students. Most of them were from Louisiana. We went through calculators. 46% were from Louisiana. But we had students from all 50 states in the U.S. and from 70 different countries who had signed up for our online gardening course. The majority of them were female. I thought that was interesting, 81%. And you can see we go all along here. And they ranged in age from preteens. We had people as young as 9 and 10 who were registering, up to the non-engineerians. 80, 70, 80, 90-year-olds. There was a couple of them that put they were over 100. And I was thinking maybe they just mistyped. So I didn't put seminarians up here, but maybe they were. I don't know for sure. So there was a huge gamut of people who were signing up for the course. I have to tell you, one thing that we thought was probably helped get that big response was our online gardening course was free. We were also searching around what was going on in the country. There were a couple other universities, some that are more prestigious, that were kind of doing something similar. They started at about $250 to register and take that course. And Anna and Chris and I, we were kind of doing, and to put in our frame of mind, we were thinking, this is COVID. A lot of people are out of a job. A lot of people are doing this for fun, for their kids. Some of them because they want to grow their own food. We want to make this as easy as possible and as accessible as possible. There's no reason that we should be charging. If we were going and giving talks to garden clubs, we go and give those for free. What's the difference between 35 people and 35,000? Just a number. So we were keeping it as a free online gardening course. And to create that interactive part, which was lacking, which we got going right here, you guys could yell at me, throw things at me, do anything, ask me questions. Couldn't do that with an online recorded course. So we created a private Facebook group page for the course. And that way, the students had access to that. They could go on, they could ask questions, interact with us, the instructors, with each other. And it's also where, after they did the lab, they could go on and talk about the results, post the results, and talk about what happened, what they learned, maybe what went wrong, ask each other. And there was a lot of interaction between the students. That was the great part, which is a nice thing about having this type of course, because the students were working and helping and teaching each other, and so as instructors, we didn't have to answer all the questions. They were answering. We had over 7,500 of the students who joined that page. So I like to think of it as a huge virtual classroom. And so this is what we did weekly. Each week, we were filming and editing each module, 2 of them each week. We were making mini videos and incorporating those. We had recruited a lot of the state extension specialists. We'll hear from a couple of them today, who made mini videos for us that we incorporated into the course. We were executing and filming the labs as well as creating the labs. We were gathering additional resources to put online. And the nice thing about it was that the LSU Ag Center IT production specialists were helping us with a lot of it. They were making sure that the materials were ADA compliant before they were posted on the website, and they were actually doing the posting for us. So, as Chris was saying, we actually broke up responsibilities. I kind of put together the content. We did the recordings. Each of us did recordings. Chris was doing the filming and the editing. Anna was making sure that all the social network and all the that part was working. So we never could have done it alone. But this is kind of how we looked like at the end of each week. It was drastically draining. And the fact that we told everyone, we're going to do this for 10 weeks. And every Friday by 5 o'clock, we're going to have these new videos. Sometimes, like Chris said, Thursday night, he would be up at midnight or later, editing and putting it all together to make it look decent so that we could have it for Friday. And the results, they were great. We did a pre-test and post-test. That's the kind of thing, a lot of you are thinking, well, is my teaching effective? By doing that, we found that overall, the average scores of those who actually took the pre-test and post-test increased by over 13%, which is good. Students who completed the course received that certificate of completion. We had over 1,500 students who actually went all the way through the course and were interested enough to email us and tell us they wanted that certificate. So we had over 1,500 students complete and get the certificate. So we thought, okay, this is successful, good results. And what the participants said, 85% of them, because we did do an evaluation at the end that they were supposed to fill out, 85% indicated that they were really satisfied with the course. 50% said that they thought the workload and course expectations were reasonable. We didn't ask them, of the other 50%, was it too easy or too hard? We don't know. We didn't know. Half of them thought it was just about right. And 85% indicated that they would be interested in more online courses like this, which is a really good response. So, what did we learn? Well, we learned that online horticultural courses can increase the operation effectiveness. I kind of did some calculations. With the number of contacts from that course, if we had 30 contacts per day, with 30, a combination of emails, Facebook, or other social networking like that, or phone calls, if we had 30 of those per day, and if we went and gave one presentation per week where the average attendance was 35 people, with that course that we had over 4 years worth of work into that one course, in the number of contacts that we made and the people that we were able to help. So, when I did this calculation, I kind of went, wow, that's pretty effective. And people, 85% of them said they were looking for more of that kind of thing. The course is actually still up and active, and so there's still participants coming in and taking the course and doing it. And we've had requests from garden centers, from school groups, volunteer organizations, things like that. They write us and ask us for permission to use that course for their training, for training their employees. One of the local garden centers just did that a few weeks ago. Went through the course with all their employees at the garden center so they could learn more about horticulture and gardening. And we also used parts of the course during the Master Gardener training program that we do. Some of the lectures where we felt we moved to an online type platform with our Master Gardener group, and we felt some of the lectures were good enough that we were going to use those for our training with our Master Gardeners. And so, things we learned and things we should have done. If you're ever going to do something like this, do the course preparation in advance. Don't start doing it and then say, we're going to give you this every week, and then each week you've got to go in and perform or else you're a failure. Go ahead and prepare and get it all done before you announce that you got a course. Seek advice from experienced people. Okay, Chris and Anna were pretty good. We brought in an experienced teacher. We brought her on board to help us improve the presentations. I would start giving a presentation and she's like, no. You got way too much on the slide. You're talking about things that you haven't even defined yet. You gotta make it a little more absorbable. So I'm still learning as you see. There's a lot on the slide. Chris and Anna got a little better at it than me. But go ahead and get advice and so you can get it as best as possible from the very beginning. This is an important one. Avoid material that may become dated. Because like I told you, the course is still up and going. We did it a couple of years ago. So if during the lectures we got up and said, well, we're going to talk about growing vegetables. You know, last week when it was really cold, we had that big freeze. Well, if you were growing this, well, if that's on the recording and then people are watching, it's like, what big freeze? We didn't have a big freeze last week. Different things like that. We didn't mention anything about what was happening in the news or anything like that. Do that. Make it as long-lived as possible by avoiding making comments or statements that are going to date what you're doing. Succinctness is a virtue. I'm working on that one. This one we learned. We didn't learn it with the first one. You can see, make your presentations in bite-sized chunks. And during the home gardening course, some of those lectures were maybe 45 minutes long. Even if you're at a live talk and you got someone as entertaining as Kiki Fontenot, 45 minutes is a long time to sit, even when you're face to face. If it's recorded, you have to watch it, and then when you wake up, stop it, go back. So make your presentations in smaller bite-sized chunks. Make them anywhere from 6 to 10 to 15 minutes, no longer than 15 minutes. And that makes it easier for people to actually fully absorb the material and to continue going with the course. Always provide additional resource material. And this one, require registration, even if it's free, because if we had required registration with it, in order to make it accessible to people, we would have been able to get a lot more data on actually the effectiveness of it and even what they were looking to get from the course. So that's something else that we should have done that we didn't do. So another thing, branding is a good thing. The Ellis Schwag Center logo identifies us and the quality of the material that we're talking about. And use similar presentation design and background it makes you recognizable. So the background I have here, the opening slide, all of that, you're going to see that was how we branded the courses. Anytime something like this would pop up, people automatically associate that with the online courses that we have designed and presented. You can change it a little, as you can see here that we did, but we keep the basic design, the background is similar, and that makes it easier then for people to recognize, oh yeah, this is one of those courses by those three nuts in New Orleans. What surprised us? Well, this is an interesting aside. Like I said, the course, we presented it was a free course, no charge, ever going to be a charge. But we had people calling the ACGA Center and wanting to know how they could contribute and make contributions and donate to this course and its development. We were surprised. LSU Foundation worked with us and set up an account whose funds are dedicated to work and programs in the greater New Orleans area. And so we said, if people want to donate, we'll let them. And, we kind of make that known here and there, a couple of things. And today we've had over $10,000 in donations made for programming in the greater New Orleans area, and all because of a free online gardening course.
And that link will be available to you guys?
Good, I should have put the QR code up here. Still
Send it to your friends and family.
I still got things I need to learn. So what's next? Well, based upon the feedback from the students, we developed a composting online course. Here we are doing composting. And from that online composting course, actually, we were asked to help with an agent training on composting, which we did, with 2-day agent training. And we wrote several publications on composting and then helped establish a composting demonstration site. So that was one of the things that's next. Also, we developed an online series of courses that we call the Backyard Orchard. And that's what we're going to talk about, growing and how to grow things that would commonly grow in your backyard. The first one we did was citrus, of course, being in this area. That had to be the biggie. We're currently working on figs. You can see how we changed a little bit for citrus, how the figs one's going to look a little different. So what our goal is to have 1 to 2 courses each year that we develop and make available online for people. So, what else do you want to know? That's it. Questions? Yes?
So is this course actually still available for people to use?
Yes, it's still
I
available.
would like to get information
And
about that.
the posters on, I hung them up there, just in case someone asked that question. It has the QR code and the website that would take you directly to where the courses are located. Yes, sir? No age limit. If you are interested in growing plants, you want to go out and put seeds in the ground, or plant plants, or grow your own veggies, the course is for you. Any of the big words that I'm the one who mainly throws those around, but we always define and try to make it as accessible and understandable as possible for everybody. So you can do it.
What's the youngest age? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, she was asking the youngest age. I think you said, what was it? 8 or 9?
Well, the youngest one that actually was on there was a 7, that put their age at 7 years old.
So the thing I was going to ask, I guess being a university, can you seek sponsorships for things like this? Did you try that?
No, we haven't tried that. We could do it, and we could, and it would be acceptable to the university for something like that, yes.
And then also, because of this impact, have they increased the funding for the department? Outside of the 10,000?
No, we didn't get any funding increase yet. Yes, ma'am.
So you had a lot of, like, there was a lot of people that registered for online courses, like, during the pandemic. Have you seen continued success of people taking online courses over time?
Yes, and actually, one of the presenters tonight is going to talk about that. A lot of home gardening started because of the pandemic and COVID, and instead of starting and then after the pandemic dropping off, it started and then a slight drop, but it kind of stayed. Because what all of you guys already know, a lot of people who've never done it before found out, hey, gardening's kind of fun. Very fun, yes. Yes, ma'am.
I apologize if this is a redundant question, but is the course, is it like hands-on where it needs to be a person to teach the course, to facilitate the course? If yes, how many people are necessary to implement the course?
No, it's all, you go at your own pace. And like I said, doing it in bite-sized chunks. The home gardening course, some of the lectures, probably usually mine, I think, were longer, 45 minutes or so. But what we did was, if you really take your time, any subject can be broken up into short pieces. And so the citrus course and the composting course and the fixed course that we're working on, the videos usually were right around 6 minutes to 9 minutes is the longest. And so we could hit one subject, really talk about it, and then move on to the next one. So, if you're talking about soils, you can talk about pH in one and moisture in one, instead of like we did with soils, the whole thing.
So I am one of the graduates of the home garden. And it was so real, like you could feel their energy, and so you weren't intimidated by them or afraid that you weren't going to be able to keep up. So just like Dr. Joe here, that's the way he was on the video. I just loved it, And I still use the skills, I still use the resources, and the labs that we did were very helpful. So thank you very much.
What she brought up is a good thing. She said she still uses them. It's like, but if you have an online course like this, if you go and you sit through this today and you take notes and you think, shoot, now what did he say? Or I want to hear something again? Well, if it's an online course, you can go back and watch it again. Oh, by the way, we are recording all of these presentations, so hopefully ACGA is going to make all these available to you. Okay.